Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of Badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's Badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the power of building a reliable contractor team. Let's face it, your deals are only as strong as the people helping you get them across that finish line. A solid contractor team can make or break your project's timeline, budget, and stress levels. The best investors don't just hire contractors, they build relationships that last. Here are 5 actionable tips to help you build your contractor dream team. Number 1, vet thoroughly before you hire. Check references, licenses, and past work. A little homework now saves a ton of headaches later. Number 2, start small. Test new contractors on smaller jobs before bringing them in on your big projects. Trust is earned, not assumed. Number 3, communicate clearly and often. Set expectations up front and keep the lines of communication open. Miscommunication is the fastest way to blow that budget. Number 4, pay promptly and fairly. Want loyalty? Be the investor who pays on time. It's amazing how far a little respect goes in this business. And number 5, show appreciation. A simple thank you or a bonus for a job well done can turn a good contractor into a lifelong ally. So remember, RAIN Nation, your network is your net worth, and that includes your contractor crew. Build those relationships and watch your projects and profits grow. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Tanisha Souza, a best-selling author, patent holder, professional speaker, and wealth coach who's passionate about helping people achieve financial freedom faster than they ever thought possible. After leaving a successful legal career by replacing her income through strategic real estate investing, Tanisha launched TARDIS Wealth Strategies, where she teaches others how to build passive income without high risk or a huge nest egg. From flipping her first foreclosure to owning $5 million in real estate in just 3 years, Tanisha's story is... I just messed that up. From flipping her first foreclosure to owning $5 million in real estate in just 3 years, Tanisha's story is packed with creative deals, smart leverage, and actionable steps anyone can follow. We are thrilled to have her here to share her income snowball system and inspire our listeners to take control of their financial future. So welcome to the show, Tanisha Souza. I feel like I'm getting a little Oprah with that entry there. You get a car. Tanisha, a powerhouse, badass lady. I am so happy to have you on the show. I've been waiting a couple months to get you on here. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Absolutely. So you went from overworked attorney with massive student loan debt to being financially free by the age of 30. That was last year, right? Can you walk us through? Can you walk us through that turning point and what sparked your journey into real estate investing? That was a loaded question if you got all that. So go ahead.
Well, I think it's probably similar to most people, and the reason why they're listening to you and the reason why they're looking for something to generate additional income. I was not happy as an attorney. I hated my job. I was working super long hours. The type of work I was doing was not fulfilling, wasn't helping people. I was working for an insurance company for a while and then started doing employment law. But the bottom line was I wasn't able to see my husband. We were newlyweds, so I was overworked. I feel underpaid, really. I had to take a 40% pay cut to move from Los Angeles as an attorney to Honolulu, believe it or not. Even though the cost
Wow.
of living is higher, I actually had to take a huge pay cut because they don't pay as much. So there was all of that, in addition to the fact that the most important thing was I knew that working the number of hours that I was working, I wasn't going to be able to start a family. My husband and I would rarely see each other, so I knew that something would have to change. So that was my catalyst to, we have to do something to get this debt paid off. We have to do something to become financially free. And that was the catalyst that started everything.
So did you do an education program or how did you get into it?
Yeah, it's interesting. The first thing was we saw in the newspaper that at the time there were foreclosures, a lot of foreclosures in Hawaii, and we saw in the newspaper a foreclosure of a relative. So my father-in-law at the time noticed that this relative's home was going into foreclosure and her home was worth $250,000. Now her husband had previously passed away and the insurance paid the home off. So you ask, how does a home go into foreclosure that's worth $250,000 when there's no mortgage? Well, she didn't pay the maintenance fee. So there were literally only about $5,000 worth of maintenance fees owing on a $250,000 house. And I thought, oh my gosh, he ended up saving the relative's house. And what we did was that was kind of the aha moment I had
Right.
where I said, if we could buy a house for $5,000, flip it, especially if it's worth $250,000, that would pay off all my student loans and we'd have money left over. So let's do that. That was the catalyst for us to kind of get started. And then when we started with that, we actually went into the newspaper, started looking for properties to flip. We did not, I basically what I told my mother was I said, Mom, for Christmas, I don't want anything except for books on foreclosures. So she sent me 12 books on foreclosures for Christmas. I read them all and we started investing. And I really we still didn't know what we were doing. I think books can only get you so far.
Right.
It can't cover every single thing that could possibly go wrong. And the things that went wrong for us were ridiculous, like kind of unbelievable. Like it's like if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. It was so crazy. But we ended up selling the house and paying off all my student loans. And then after that, we had money left over to do the next investment. So that was how we got started. We weren't financially free yet. We were debt free at that point, but that was the start of it. And it was a miracle, honestly. It was a pretty awesome situation.
Well, it's interesting that you got that house, a $250,000 house for 5,000 because a lot of people don't realize that. And you nailed it on the head by saying you think it's paid off. People, maybe elderly people, forget to pay their taxes. There have been homeowners associations that someone just owes the house is paid off, but they owe the homeowner association and they can foreclose on a property. So there's all those different sneaky ways that they can get a hold of those properties. So very interesting that you found that and we're on top of that. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, all right, jumping into you. So you're a big advocate for focusing on passive income over chasing appreciation. So I just had a guest earlier today who chases appreciation. So, but he's more for the long-term hold and everything. But so why do you believe cash flow is a better path for building wealth, especially for new investors?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, it was kind of a turning point for me because we actually flipped two homes. The first home that we flipped, I was so like, oh my gosh, Chris is going to divorce me. This has been a nightmare. We've made every mistake in the book. Like, I can't believe it. So I was pretty stressed out about it. But so I said, I'm never going to do this again. Never going to do it again. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's read that book. And I realized from that instead of just trying to flip the next home, which was a lot of work for us, it took a year. I mean, I was working already about 60 hours a week. And then on top of that, we were spending our evenings and weekends at this house working on the home. So I was like, I can't, this is not sustainable. I can't keep doing this. But when I read it, it was like, all I have to do, and this is key, all I have to do is create enough passive income from my investments, like real estate, to cover my living expenses. And once I've done that, I'm actually financially free. Like I don't have to work anymore. And that was kind of the thing where I was like, you don't need like $5 million in a mutual fund or in a 401k. Like you don't need to have like all of the stuff that they say that you need to have. Like you don't really need that. No, all you need, and our expenses were low. We were renting for $1,000 a month from my father-in-law. So he owned a rental and we were renting from him. We had no car payments, or my student loans are paid off. We're spending a lot of money eating out, but other than that, that was kind of it. So we maybe had like $4,000 worth of monthly expenses, 3 or 4,000. And all we needed was that much to cover in passive income. And then we're done. Like we're retired at age 30. So I was like, this is what we need to do. So after I told Chris, we're never doing this again, I'm like, we got to do it one more time so we can so we can actually create enough passive income. Like this time we don't flip it just to we need to flip a house to get a rental property so that it covers all of our expenses. And we did do that. We flipped a second property, which was a duplex, into a strip mall. We exchanged that for a strip mall, and that strip mall covered all of our living expenses and then some. It was actually more than I was making at the firm. The cash
Wow.
flow from the strip mall, it was 30 grand a month gross income per month. We had a $12,000 a month mortgage payment, $5,000 a month ground lease rent. So we had some expenses, but after all was said and done, we had an extra 8 grand a month, which was more than my income. And all we needed was 3 or 4 grand a month to cover our expenses. So, I mean, it was crazy. We didn't even own a home. We were renting, right? So we decided that we were going to create enough passive income to cover the mortgage on our dream home and to basically pay all of our bills so we didn't have to work. That's the key. Not having to work, working because you want to, not because you have to.
Right.
So yeah.
Huge. And the way the economy is right now, because flipping houses can be sexy, picking out really cool finishes and everything. But I mean, I am scared to death to get into another flip just because we had a property that sat way too long. And it just makes me nervous to get into that and the stress right there. I think my husband's going to divorce me after that. But same thing with what Chris was going through. But my focus, and that's a great thing about real estate, is that you can shift your focus because there's so much to do out there. And I am focused on rentals right now. So I love that. I like the whole strip mall idea though. So I just started coaching for a program with my dear friend, John Blackburn, and we work with students who are purchasing rental properties. And the biggest thing I hear all the time is, I don't have any cash to get this started. So what is your approach to help people get started with what they already have? Maybe they realize they have something, but they don't, or maybe they have something and they don't even realize they can use it. But what is that first step for them anyway,
Well,
take it away. You got this.
There's so many things you could do. There's so many steps you can take. So for us, just kind of to close the loop on that story, the very first property we bought, we did have cash. We had $30,000. My husband had savings. I had no savings. I had debt and no savings. He had a little bit of savings, no debt. So I got the better end of the stick on that one, right? I married somebody with a little bit of cash. But we used that $30,000. We didn't buy that $250,000 house for that they only owed 5,000. My father-in-law saved that house, but we found a property that was there was some little amount owed. I think it was like $70,000 on a $200,000 property. So we needed to put something down. We went to the auction and all that. But I mean, it was kind of a lot of work, but most people don't have that. A lot of people don't maybe have that to start. So there are a lot of ways to get started in real estate investing without doing that. One way is something we teach, which is the Income Snowball, and it actually can provide you with all of the down payments you need for all of the rentals you need to build a pretty hefty portfolio. And that's what a lot of our clients use it for. So some clients come to us because they're like, hey, I want to build a portfolio. All I've got is $1,000 a month and a 680 plus FICO score. That's all you need to get started. So if you just have those two things, an extra $1,000 a month from your job, your business, whatever you have, just a little bit of extra floating around, even if you have no savings and you have a decent credit score, you can actually start doing this, and it will help you to build all the cash you need to buy all the real estate you need indefinitely.
So
So,
I am dying to know what this income snowball, and you have that trademarked. We were talking about trademarks earlier. This is a question a little further down, but I want to get into it right now because I'm eager to hear about this. So $1,000 a month and then a decent credit score. By the way, so what if someone doesn't have a decent credit score? Do you have any help with them to raise their credit score?
yes, yes. There's a great program called Awesome Financial Hacks. And that one I highly recommend. A lot of people have improved their FICO scores and actually improved their cash flow. Maybe they only have $300 or $400 a month cash flow, and now they have like 1,200 to 1,500 after using the Awesome Financial Hacks. It's basically an app that gives you all kinds of tips and tricks to increase your cash flow and stuff like that. So I highly
Nice.
recommend that. You Need a Budget is another one that's really good. But yeah, so there's a lot of great systems out there that can help you improve your credit score and boost your cash flow. But let's say that you've got like 800 to $1,000 a month and you've got 680 plus FICO score. What we do is we use a little bit of leverage, and we purchase strategic types of investments that pay you immediately. So you don't have to wait 60 days, 90 days to close on a rental before you start getting your first payments. These are investments that don't require much investment. $1,000 is all you need to invest. But what you do is you take strategic amounts of small amounts of leverage that can be repaid very quickly. I'll explain how in a second. But then you use that you invest in that, the investment that pays you back. Usually it's multiples of what it is that you're paying on the leverage. And that's really the key. And that's the key with real estate in general. So if you're looking at rentals or you're looking at other kinds of passive income on real estate, you always want your leverage to be less, the amount that you're paying on your mortgage to be less than what you're getting in rental income. It's the same idea, but here we're talking about multiples. Usually it's like 3, 4, 5 plus times what the leverage is costing you. And the leverage is not $100,000 mortgage. The leverage is 5 grand or 7,000 or $10,000, very small. Why do you use leverage in the first place with this? It's the same reason why you use leverage when you buy a rental or when you buy a home. Now, when you buy a home, your primary residence with leverage, you're doing it because you want more buying power, right? Maybe you've got $30,000, but you don't want to buy a $30,000 house. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Who wants to buy it to live in a $30,000 house? So you use that so that you have more buying power so you can get a better house, right? People will put down $200,000 to get a $1 million home or something like that instead of buying a $200,000 house. Maybe you can't find those in places like Hawaii, for example. So the idea is to use small amounts of strategic leverage, get 3, 4, 5 times the amount of income that you're paying on the leverage. So maybe you're paying $30 a month for that leverage, and you're getting 200 or $300 a month from the investment. And you're going to use that and that little cash flow, that $1,000 a month we talked about, to pay down that leverage. And you're able to do that and buy more and more of these investments. The income that comes in from the investments actually it grows exponentially. That's what we call the snowball, the income snowball. It grows so fast that within a few years, most people have, say, 4,000, 5,000. Some people have $10,000 a month in monthly income coming in just by doing what I just described. And when they have that, let's say you have 5,000 or $10,000 a month coming in, how easy is it to come up with $30,000 down or $50,000 down? It's easy. Your investments are actually buying your income snowball investments are actually buying your rental properties for you, and you're doing it on a regular basis. Like every few months you're buying a new rental. It makes it so much easier, so much faster, and all you're doing is using a little bit of the cash flow you're starting with, your good credit, and the know-how to buy the right types of investments.
So I'm a little confused. What are you investing in?
So we're investing in what we call fast burning fuel assets. So these are short-term amortized income investments. And I'll give you an example of one. So one would be, for example, prosper.com, right? That's not available in all states. This is just one example. But Prosper is where you are investing in notes, right? You're loaning people money for their small business or for their more debt consolidation or car loan or things like that. So you're loaning this money out. They're paying you principal and interest for 3 years or 2 years or 5 years. So the term is short. The shorter the term, the bigger the payment, right? So you're getting principal and interest back, but you're only paying interest only on a declining valued line of credit. So that line of credit that you use every month is getting reduced by the income from the investment in your cash flow, that $1,000 we're talking about. And so what that does is after 4 months or 5 months, you've paid it off with the cash flow, right? If you're borrowing, say, $5,000 and leverage from a line of credit, buy one of those investments, you're getting, say, $200 a month from that investment, and you're paying $30 a month in interest on that line of credit. You're taking your $1,000 plus the $200 a month you're getting from the investment and paying it down. It's going to take you 4 months to pay it off. And then, but you're still going to get those payments. Those $200 are still going to go on for the next 2.5 years because it's a 3-year term. And then you stack them, right? You start stacking these investments. I have a patent on my calculator, right? The calculator is the Income Snowball calculator. And the reason why I got a patent on it is because what it does is it takes this specific type of investment, right? Which I call it short-term amortized income investments, because they're amortized over short term, like a mortgage is amortized over long term, 30 years
Right.
or 15. These are amortized over 2, 3, or 5. So you want to get these short-term investments because you want the biggest bang for your buck. You want the biggest payments you could possibly get with the smallest outlay of cash. So it's kind of like, if I could put in $5,000, like how much can I get back? And if the term is 2 years, you're going to get back a lot more money than if it was 15 years, right? That's the reason why people get 30-year mortgages on real estate, because they want the payments low. They want tiny payments so that their property cash flows. Well, you want the opposite when you're doing the Income Snowball. You want the biggest payments with the smallest outlay of cash. So the leverage that we're using always gets repaid in a very short period of time. The asset value is always more. So you could also sell the asset to pay off the leverage. But it's strategic use of the leverage. It's making sure that you're actually creating this huge, like, income snowball is the best I can describe, and it avalanches and it just grows exponentially. So you don't always stay with a $5,000 line of credit or $7,000 or whatever it is that you're starting with, and it really depends on your cash flow, the size that you'd start with. That would actually change over time. So my calculator calculates the interest rate on the investment, the interest rate on the line of credit. It calculates your cash flow, all of that, to determine how quickly you can reach financial freedom, how quickly your passive income will cover all of your living expenses. And for most people, it's between 5 and 10 years. Some people do it in 2, some people take 15, but that's a whole heck of a lot faster than relying on your 401k or age 65. I mean,
Right.
it's like way faster and
Way
easier.
faster.
You don't need a lot of cash to start. You just need a little bit of cash flow and good credit. That's it.
Okay. So you went through a lot there, and I was trying to keep up, Tanisha. And
I know.
so let's say I have a 709 credit score, which is what I just checked recently. So 709, and I definitely have $1,000 coming in. What is my first step? What am I'm buying a note, and then what am the leverage? You got me confused. So
Yeah,
walk
so
me
let's
through
start. I'll
specifically
walk you through.
one example using me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna walk you through as if you are going through this process. So let's say, so the
Perfect.
first thing that you would do is you would find out, you'd get an assessment to see if this works for you or not, right? So you would get a strategy session, and in that there's a demo of the calculator. So what they'll do is they'll go through the calculator with you. We'll find out what your goal is. You're saying, hey, I want 10 grand a month by as quickly as possible. So they run that through the calculator, and it will tell you the interest rate, approximately the term of the types of investments you'll need to get in order to make this happen. And then, and the size of the line of credit you would need based on your cash flow. So if your cash flow, I used the $1,000 example, right? So they would come back to you and say, okay, you need a $6,000 line of credit to start.
Well, this is where I'm getting confused. Okay, so I'm already. What is my $1,000 contributing to?
it's going to pay down the line. That along with the income from the investment will pay down that line of credit. So you're going to take that, say, $6,000 line of credit, you're going to invest it into one of those investments. Let's say it's Prosper. So you invest it into that. The $1,000 a month you have would take you 6 months if you were just using that alone to pay off that $6,000 line of credit. But you're also going to use this investment, which would pay you between $200 and $300 a month, depending on the term and the interest rate. So now you've got $1,200 to $1,300 a month to pay down a $6,000 line of credit, take you about 4.5, 5 months. Then you do it again. You take that $6,000, you invest it again in new notes. You're still getting paid for the next 2.5 years for that first set of notes, and you're going to stack it. So now instead of getting $200 to $300, you're getting twice that the second time you make the investment, right?
Gotcha. All right. Now it's clicking. Thank you very much. I glazed over for a second.
Oh yeah, no, it can be complicated. And like I said, I have courses on this that are free that people can, my book talks about it. So there's a lot of information out there on there. So in case anybody's a little bit confused or they're like, I need more information, we have it all available for them too. I know there's only so much we can do on a podcast. So,
right.
Yeah.
So when does this turn into rental properties?
Okay. So let's say you've been doing it for, say, 2-3 years, and it really depends on the amount of the line of credit you're using and the cash flow you're starting with, right? We call that your cash flow commitment. Like, how much are you willing to put into your snowball each month, right? And for some people it's 1,000, for some people it's like 10,000 or 5,000. They got huge cash flows, and we've got people of all gamuts using this. So it may take them, say, 2 years, 3 years to build that up. But then here's what happens. Let's say year 2, 2.5 comes around, and they've got about $4,000 to $5,000 a month coming in, right? So they didn't start with 5,000 cash flow. This is somebody that starts with a smaller amount, right? They would end up with, say, 4,000 or so in about 2.5, 3 years. Some people that start with a lot more, they would have a lot more. But let's say they have that 4,000 or 5,000. Now they can start investing in real estate. So what they would do is use that line of credit, which has grown, right? Maybe it started at 6, maybe it's at 15 or $20,000. And now what they're going to do is we're going to do what's called a split. So that line of credit would be split, where they're doing an investment. Part of that line of credit's used to keep investing in fast burning fuel, these short-term investments. And the other part of that would be used as the down payment on the rental property, and the income from the investment and your cash flow pays it down. Now you're getting $4,000 to $5,000 a month, so you know that it's only going to take you about 4 months to pay off a 20 grand line of credit, and then you just keep doing that over and over again. But it goes faster and faster every time you pay off the line of credit. It's exponentially faster because you've doubled, then you've tripled, then you've quadrupled the income that's coming in from these investments. And what's great is people are like, well, I heard people say things like, well, but it's principal and interest, so you're just getting your principal back. Well, it's not even your principal. You borrowed
Exactly.
that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yep.
Come on. So, and then they're like, oh, I get it. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable how quickly it works. And there's a lot of layers to this, but I'm just trying to keep it really simple for your listeners. It's a system that I think no one thought of, because people typically, when they use these types of investments like Prosper, what they're doing is they're taking their savings and they're investing in it. So really all they're making is that little bit of interest. And over the course of, say, 3 years, they're not making a whole lot of money, to be honest with you. They're just not. Even with a high interest rate, even if it's like a 12% investment that you're investing in, or 10%, you're not making that much. You end up with an extra $1,000 or $2,000 on top of the 10 grand you invested or whatever you did after 3 years. That's not exciting. What's exciting to me is when I'm bringing in $5,000 or $10,000 a month, even though it's principal and interest, it's not relevant, because that 10 grand a month is helping me pay off my $30,000 line of credit every 3 months. And I'm using that $30,000 to buy rentals as down payments on rental properties. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's the power of it. We have clients that they're at the point where they have $150,000 lines of credits that they're using, and they're buying rentals, they're buying crypto, they're doing all kinds of things with it. But the majority of that income that's coming in is coming from the short-term investments, and that's why it's so huge. But it enables them to buy all these other things. It's buying those investments for them. typically.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is this is for someone who's maybe still in a W-2 who has that income coming in because you're snowballing because you're not making any money and because you're just any profit that you are making on anything you're putting back into either the line of credit to pay it off, you're buying more assets, and then it's when you get that rental property where the rents, that's where you start getting your profit coming in, where you can
No,
actually.
you're getting profit right away. So people, you can use that money for anything you want. So let's say that your goal is not to be financially free. I mean, some people it's not. Their goal is, hey, I want to buy this. I want to buy my dream home. Can the income snowball help me do that? I want to be able to do X. I want to be able to travel. I want to go on a $50,000 vacation every year for 2 months or whatever. Okay, well, if you've got the time, you can do that. The income snowball can create the income you need to do whatever you want. Part of the calculator is what it will do is you can say, I want this amount of money in this amount of time. Show me what it's going to take to do that. And it will do that. And the income still will keep going, right? It'll keep growing. But now you can peel off a portion of that money to do whatever you want, pay for your kids' college, private school,
Got
buy your dream home, do whatever. So it's not just for buying rentals. It's not just for reaching financial freedom. It's for whatever you want to do. That's what I love. I mean, we have people that they've used it to adopt a kid. Like
Wow.
apparently adoption is expensive,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were able to use that to adopt a kid. We had a gentleman who he's a chiropractor, and he was had to undergo a kidney transplant, and his testimonials on our YouTube channel. And he heard about it and was like, look, I need to create enough income so that while I am undergoing that kidney transplant and during that time I can't work, that I have income to cover my bills. So not only were we able to do that for him, but he had like 3 or 4 times the amount that he needed to live during that time. So you can
Wow.
use that money. We had people during COVID. I mean, this was crazy. We had we had like all of our clients, right? I remember right when COVID hit, I went to them and I said, hey, I did a webinar. I said, hey, okay, depending on whatever your strategy is, you need to change your strategy now, right? So if you're paying off debt or you're doing some kind of split to pay off debt or do whatever, I don't recommend doing that. What I suggest is do as many flips as you can as quickly as you can, because some of you will lose your jobs and some of you will lose your businesses. So we have a lot of business owners as well. And so of course that did end up happening, but fortunately for these people, because they had, and by flips I mean investments, by the way,
Okay.
every single person who like heeded what I said, they ended up in a position where they were able to live on that income, like actually use the income that they created, have the income snowball keep running, not put any money into it, right? So they had to stop putting money into it because they didn't have any, and just live on that income for a period of time, for like 6 months, a year, until the PPP loans came in or until their unemployment insurance came in or whatever they were waiting for. And it was amazing. I mean, we had that year blew us up. I mean, COVID 2020 blew us
Nice.
up. It was insane. Yeah. People were
Wow.
just, I need this. I need passive income. I can't rely on my job. I can't rely on my business. That's my only source of income. And that was, now they have 5 income streams or 3 income streams or whatever different investments they're using. Yeah.
Tanisha, I love all of this. So another question about the asset that you said sometimes they're notes.
Well, Prosper is, right? They're not all
Okay.
notes, right? They're different. Some of them are funds. I mean, there's all
Okay.
kinds of different types of investments that fit this category. You can even, there are people that go to like, they're working with Charles Schwab. There are investments you can use with that will work this way. And what you're doing is you're artificially creating principal and interest payments from those investments. You're getting payments, right? They're paying you, but now you're able to take principal and interest out and self-amortize those. So there's just lots of different ways to do it. One of the keys, though, I have to say, once you get the gist of this, right? Once you understand the general concept of how this works, The next key is really understanding which investments are right for you, because some
Okay.
investments are right for some people and they're just not right for other people based on their risk tolerance and everything. They also have to do due diligence on everything that they do. And those are things that we teach as well, because it's not just okay for us to teach the strategy and have people go out there and stumble all over themselves and fall all over their face. What we want to do is we want to make sure that they know which investments to buy, when to buy them, how much to spend, making sure that everything is aligned and that they know exactly what to do. And I think that's
Okay.
one of the keys to making sure that this works flawlessly.
So the question I was getting to is they're typically, you said it's a 5-year term.
2 year, 3 year,
I'm
or
sorry,
5
2 to
year.
3. Okay.
Mhm.
And so they have money coming in per month. They're doing the
Mhm.
snowball effect, the income snowball, but what happens at the end of the 2, 3, or 5 years? You just rinse and
So
repeat?
yeah, well, so what
Okay.
happens is you've already done multiple investments in that 2 year period. So you've
Gotcha.
already stacked and staggered a
Okay.
ton of investments. So by the time that first investment stops paying you because you've already been fully repaid on that investment, you already have 4 or 5 times that coming in.
Gotcha. Thank you
And
for
then
clarifying that. Perfect. All
yeah,
right. So you talk about smart leverage versus risky debt. How do you
yes.
distinguish between those two, and what advice do you have for listeners who are nervous about borrowing to invest? Because I hear that
Yeah.
all the time too.
Yeah,
People,
well, I think they should be nervous if they're not educated.
good, good.
I don't think if you don't know what you're doing, I don't recommend it. So, but let's talk about risky debt. Risky debt is your mortgage on your home.
Hmm.
Okay. So unless the mortgage on your home, the debt on your car, the credit card debt that you can't pay off, that you're making minimum payments on, all that is risky debt, right? Another thing that's risky is if you invest to buy something that where the leverage is not covered by the income from that investment, right?
Yep.
So when we kind of like what you were talking about, you're like right now might not be the right time to flip a home because of whatever the factors. We It was risky, right? It was risky because we had a mortgage. This is the part that I have to tell you. This is so crazy. We had a mortgage on this house. We were working on it for an entire year to flip it. We bought it on foreclosure. By the time it was time to flip the house and we were going to sell it, we found out that the foreclosure was done wrong. And we were yeah, and we did not own it. So we had been paying on a mortgage for an entire year for a house we did not own. So I knew though that our bank, I think it was First Hawaiian Bank at the time that we were using, they had lawyers, and I was like, okay, I screwed this up. We need to get First Hawaiian Bank on this with their lawyers because they're not going to be happy that they that they gave us a loan on a house that we don't own.
Right.
Like basically they have nothing. They've got no collateral. So they went back to the commissioner and everything and they got it fixed and
Nice.
fixed it all and then we sold the house. But so that's what I mean. It's risky because all of that time we had nothing coming in and something could go wrong like
Hmm.
that and you're stuck or you're in big trouble somehow. Risky leverage or risky debt is when you're paying on something and you have nothing coming in. That is your home. People don't think it's risky to get a mortgage for their primary residence, but they think it's risky to borrow to invest. It's better to borrow to invest because at least you have income coming in or should have income coming in. And if you don't, then that's when it starts to get riskier, right? And where you have to kind of gauge, is the risk worth it, and those sorts of things. So that's the reason why I always recommend passive income is the key, because that way you can make sure and almost guarantee that the outlay of cash that you're putting out for the leverage is substantially less than the income you have coming in. It's an asset, right? If it's
Right.
producing income, it's an asset, according to Robert Kiyosaki. If it's not producing income, it's not an asset. And that's when your borrowing is very risky.
So well said. It's not just looks with you. You got some brains in there as well as. So, Goodness, I could talk about that. This is so interesting, and it hurts my brain a little bit because I'm not a math person, or I'm the mouth and the looks of our business, but my husband does all the paperwork and numbers and everything. He is going to be chomping at the bit listening to this episode, but we need to get to the second part of the podcast here. But before we get into that, for the listeners who are interested in grabbing your book, what is the best way first of all, what is your book? How do they find it? What's the best way for them to find you? Talk about the coaching program, the Income Snowball. Give us all can they just scan that QR code you have in that corner up there?
Yes.
How do we get a hold of you?
All of the above. So first, let's talk about my book. It's called Creating Your Income Snowball, the Passive Investing Cheat Code to Mastering Wealth. I'm all about shortcuts. I don't like waiting in lines. I like to know what's the fastest point from A to Z. And that's what I talk about in this book. I'm talking about the cheat code, the fast path, the way to get you from A to Z faster than you thought possible with less risk and less outlay of cash. So that is, and we're available globally. So you can get it from Barnes and Noble, you can get it from,
Nice.
worldwide, Amazon, of course, you can get it. And we also have it on our website. So you can get it on our website as well. We have some free gifts for your listeners. I think I mentioned we have a mini course. It's called How to Create a Six-Figure Investment Income Without Getting into Debt, Even If You Have No Savings. And that mini course we're going to offer for free just for your listeners.
Yay.
So they just need to make sure that they use the QR code and they can get access to that. And for those people who kind of already understand the idea of leverage makes sense when it comes to passive income is what I'm looking for. I don't want another job. I'm looking for something like that. Then I'd say get a strategy session, right? It's free. You see if this will work for you, right? We'll know right away, and they'll be able to tell you. They run your numbers through the calculator, come up with a plan for you, present it to you, and show you, say, this is how long it will take you to achieve this goal that you say you want, or these goals that you say you want. Would you like to work with us? And then we coach you along the way, help you with picking out investments, show you how to vet them, do your due diligence, create investment criteria for yourself, all of that. So that is all a part of what it is that we do in addition to coaching you through your own specific income snowball. So so all of that I think you can get from the QR code on the screen.
Very nice. And if they're listening, what is the name of the website?
Tardus.com, TARDUS.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And so interesting. And this is all based out of Honolulu?
Well, our office our headquarters is in Honolulu, but we have coaches nationwide, actually worldwide. And we're everywhere.
That is so cool. What a very cool, unique concept. What does TARDUS stand for?
Wow, good question. So funny. I don't know if you've heard of the British TV show Doctor Who, but
that's a while ago.
Yeah. And so we started off as a mortgage acceleration company. We bought the franchise and turned it into wealth building and investing. But they had the name TARDUS that stood for the time machine in the show, right? The TARDUS was the time machine. But it was TARDIS, time and relative dimensions in space. We changed the I to a U to avoid any copyright, trademark infringement. But basically, it's a time machine. It gets you to where you want to go faster. Same idea.
I love that. Time machine. Well, goodness, I wish we had more time to get even more into this, but my brain was starting to hurt a little bit because it's a lot, but it is so smart. So very smart. So thank you for creating this and being the badass. So we're going to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Tanisha Souza a badass, which clearly you are. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
The 1 Minute Millionaire.
Ooh, who wrote?
It's an oldie. It's an oldie but goodie. So that one literally was the concepts in that book. I highly recommend it. It's super old, but it's great, and it gave me the ideas that we needed to buy that strip mall and some other commercial properties that we purchased with nothing down, and really helped me with the mindset as well, that it really doesn't take a lot to become a millionaire. It really doesn't take a lot. People think it does, but when you read this book, It's amazing. I think it's one of my favorite books still.
And mindset is one of the toughest things to get over in this industry, and just believing in yourself and getting rid of all those limiting beliefs and everything. So I'm all for that about achieving better mindset here. So, all right, the first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us amazing advice on this show, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'd say the best I received was from my father-in-law. When we had the strip mall, we had a property, a unit that was a convenience store, it was the biggest unit we had in there, and it vacated. And so we were break even cash flow for a number of months, and we tried everything we could to get a new tenant in there. And he came up with the idea that we should, instead of trying to find a new tenant, chop it up into 3 units and then rent them out. And we did that. And we basically doubled the amount of money that we were getting. And it was just sometimes you don't think, you do the same thing that you think was working before. So you think I'm going to keep doing that when it turns out there's another idea that could be way more lucrative for you than what you had been doing. And that was the case for us. It was the best piece of advice. I learned a lot from that.
That is awesome. Do you still have that strip mall?
No, we actually sold that one. We did.
Very nice. I'm always curious about those things. I interviewed a gentleman who he started flipping house. No, he started buying rental properties in 1978, and he still has the first 3 that he ever bought. I was like, what? I know. So I'm always curious. All right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
I think a couple things. My daughters, I have 2 daughters, one 17, one 20, and I really want to be a role model to them. And then I think the other major thing is just really helping more people. We're pretty comfortable, have been very comfortable for quite a long time, but I know that this idea has changed so many lives that I feel like we really just scratched the surface. So that really drives me.
And I love that about this industry, about real estate and investing, everything, because you get to a good flow coming in and then you're like, what do I do with my time now? So from my listeners, we thank you for giving back. And it builds you up too, because the best form of learning is through teaching. So, all right, the second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
It's a big one. We are franchising. Yes.
That
Yeah,
is so cool.
I know.
What does that look like for someone who's
So
interested? Yeah.
yeah, so probably I would say in the next month or two, toward the end of the year, we'll be ready to launch our first franchises. And so probably around September-ish, we'll be launching our first franchise. So we'll be marketing that out. And really the idea is to duplicate our efforts, to multiply our efforts, to get the income snowball out there, to get this method of education so that people can reach whatever goals they have a lot faster and easier and with less risk. So yeah, that's the big aspiration right now. We're
Good
excited.
for you. I love that. Oh, that is so cool. All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to talk about this. AI. So we are not only using AI in our processes in pretty much most of what we're doing, but also in investing. I think there's this
Really?
huge, yes, yes, I'm going to be doing some webinars soon and some education for people so that they understand how to use AI investing. It makes it so much easier, so much faster. And there's just so many ways that you can use it that I think people, their minds will be blown when they see what's possible.
I have students who use AI, use Chat GPT to evaluate properties. I'm still like, I got to do my own due diligence. I don't know if I can trust the Chat GPT for those type of big investments, but it is mind blowing what it is coming up with. So,
Mhm.
goodness, I could talk to you all day. But the final S in Badass is for success. What does success mean to Tanisha Souza?
I think success for me is more of it's really just being able to touch a lot more people because I think by kind of normal standards, we're already very successful and we could stop here. But what I really realized was the way that I look at it is like multiple sclerosis or like a disease like that. There's no cure. if I had created a cure for MS, and there's like 1 million people in the United States that have it, and in my 20 years of business, I created something that cured it, and I got a patent on it, and I helped like 8,000, 10,000 people. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not success to me. If I was blessed enough to get a gift like this, to be given a gift that I could share with 1 million people and potentially cure everybody that has it in the United States, that's success. And so that's the way I look at this. I have something that a lot of people need. It's transformed lives, including my own, my family's, and my friends, and thousands of other people. I have to get this out to more people. And that is what is success. When I see that thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people are utilizing this system, that is success. So.
Well, I am so very impressed with you. I'm impressed with the concept of it, and I have to get that book so I can go a little bit slower and get it into my brain, because it is so very impressive with what you are doing, Tanisha. And I'm just so grateful for you being on the show today. So thank you mahalo for being here today. You like that?
Yeah, I'm impressed. Mahalo, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Tanisha. We appreciate you.
Thank you. It was great. It was great being on the show.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.